One of these two SUVs is genuinely overrated, and the other one is quietly one of the best buys in the luxury SUV market right now. Today, we are putting the 2026 Mercedes GLE against the 2026 BMW X5, and by the end of this video, you dreamers are going to know exactly which one deserves your money. These two have been fighting each other for decades. The GLE and the X5 are probably the two most popular luxury midsize SUVs on the planet. Walk into any nice neighborhood, any hotel parking lot, any airport drop-off zone, and you will see both of these everywhere. But just because something is popular does not mean it is the right choice for you. So let's break this down category by category. Design, interior, technology, engines, how they drive, how practical they actually are for a real family, and finally, the price. Let's get into it. Starting with how these things look, because honestly, this is one of the first things that pulls people toward one over the other. The 2026 BMW X5 carries over the sharp, refreshed look from recent updates. BMW went with a cleaner, more restrained front end compared to some of their other models that got controversial oversized grills. The X5 still has the signature kidney grills, but they are sized appropriately here, confident without being ridiculous. The headlights are sharp and angular, the hood sits slightly raised, and the overall silhouette communicates sportiness in a way that is unusual for a midsize SUV. BMW deliberately designed the X5 to look like it is moving even when it is sitting still. The wheelbase measures 117.1 inches, and the overall length is 194.3 inches, giving it a planted, muscular stance. The rear end continues this story with a subtle, integrated spoiler, squared-off taillights, and dual exhaust tips that are actually functional and not fake plastic inserts. Standard 20-inch wheels fill the arches well, and you can option up to 22-inch wheels if you want it to look even more aggressive on the road. BMW's design decision here is intentional. Every line on this car is meant to say this is not just a vehicle that drives kids to school and sits in a parking garage. It is meant to attract a buyer who wants performance and luxury at the same time, and visually, it absolutely delivers that. Now step outside and look at the 2026 GLE. Mercedes took a completely different direction, and that decision speaks volumes about who this car is built for. The GLE is more upright, more commanding, and more traditionally luxurious in its appearance. The front is softer, with flowing LED headlights that sweep across the bumper in a way that feels elegant rather than aggressive. The overall shape is rounder and more refined. The GLE measures 193.8 inches in length, with a 117.9-inch wheelbase, barely different from the X5 on paper, but it looks noticeably larger and more imposing in person. That is not accidental. Mercedes engineered the proportions and the ride height of the GLE to make it feel like a big car, like something that commands attention without trying too hard. The rear end of the GLE is clean and polished, slim taillights with a chrome connecting strip, a smooth liftgate, and quad exhaust tips on higher trims. It looks expensive in a quiet way. But here is the honest truth. The GLE plays it safe with its design. It does not excite you the way the X5 does. Park them side by side, and the X5 turns more heads among younger buyers. The GLE attracts buyers who want to look established without making a statement about it. Neither approach is wrong. They just speak to completely different buyers.
Design verdict. X5 wins if you want something that looks athletic and dynamic. GLE wins if you want something that looks classically expensive and polished.
This is where things get genuinely interesting, because both of these companies spent serious money making their interiors feel like a step into the future. Inside the 2026 BMW X5, you get iDrive 8.5 with BMW's curved display setup, a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, and a 14.9-inch touchscreen that flow together in one seamless glass panel. It looks like nothing else on the market at this price, and more importantly, it actually works well once you spend a few hours learning the system. BMW designed this interior with the driver at the center of everything. The dashboard tilts slightly toward you, the steering wheel feels excellent in your hands, all the controls are positioned within natural reach, and the seats grip you and support you through corners, rather than just letting you sink in. BMW made this choice because they know their buyer, someone who thinks of this as their car, not just a vehicle they are traveling in. The materials inside are genuinely high quality. Soft leather on all the main contact surfaces, genuine wood or aluminum trim depending on the package, and the kind of build quality where nothing rattles, nothing flexes, and everything clicks into place with a satisfying solidity. The base interior already feels premium, and when you add the merino leather upgrade and the panoramic Sky Lounge sunroof, it enters truly special territory. Rear legroom measures 37.7 inches, which is good for the class, though not the best. Now, step inside the 2026 GLE, and the first thing that hits you is the MBUX system, with its classic side-by-side dual 12.3-inch widescreen displays mounted horizontally under a single continuous pane of glass. Together, these two screens create a cockpit that genuinely stops people in their tracks. The graphics are crisp, the response is fast, and the voice assistant built into the system is one of the best in the automotive world right now. You can say, "Hey Mercedes, I am cold," and the car adjusts the temperature without you touching anything. However, it does take real time to learn, because Mercedes buried a lot of important functions deep inside menus that should be one tap away. This is a recurring criticism of the MBUX system, and it is valid. Where the GLE clearly wins is rear passenger comfort. With 38.5 inches of rear legroom and a rear seat that is noticeably wider and more cushioned than the X5's, the GLE is a better car if you regularly carry adults behind you. Mercedes also offers rear seat heating, ventilation, and even massage as options. If you are a business professional who sits in the back while someone else drives, the GLE is the obvious answer. It turns the rear seat into something close to a first-class cabin experience. Interior verdict? Tie on overall quality and technology, but the X5 wins for drivers, and the GLE wins for rear passengers. Pick based on where you actually sit. This is where the biggest real-world differences show up between these two SUVs. The base 2026 BMW X5 xDrive 40i uses a 3.0-liter turbocharged inline-six engine, producing 375 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. That power goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission and standard all-wheel drive to reach 60 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds. BMW built this engine with 48-volt mild hybrid assistance, which allows it to coast silently at low speeds and restart instantly when you press the accelerator again. This system saves fuel without you ever noticing it working. EPA fuel economy comes in at around 21 miles per gallon in the city and 26 on the highway. BMW's inline-six is widely considered one of the smoothest engines in production today. It makes almost no noise at cruising speeds, pulls with a long and satisfying power delivery when you need it, and never feels strained, even when the car is fully loaded with passengers and luggage. This is a genuinely great base engine, and it is the main reason the X5 stands out in this segment. If 375 horsepower is not enough for you, the X5 M60i takes a 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8, making 523 horsepower and launches to 60 miles per hour in 3.9 seconds. That is supercar pace in a vehicle that weighs over 5,000 pounds and has 3 rows available. It is extraordinary. Now, the 2026 Mercedes GLE 350, the base model, uses a 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making just 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, with a 0 to 60 time of around 7.2 seconds. Here is the problem. That engine, in a car that starts over $62,000, simply does not belong. It feels underpowered on highway merges, it sounds coarse when pushed hard, and it creates a disconnect between how expensive the car looks and how it actually performs. Mercedes made this choice to keep the entry price lower and improve fuel economy to around 22 mpg city and 28 highway, but the driving experience pays the price. The version worth buying is the GLE 450, which uses a 3.0-liter turbocharged inline-six with a 48-volt EQ boost mild hybrid system, producing 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, matching the X5's horsepower, but slightly below its torque. 0 to 60 takes around 5.5 seconds. The GLE 450 is a transformed car compared to the base 350. It is smooth, strong, and confident at any speed. But even at identical horsepower numbers, the way these two engines deliver power is fundamentally different. The X5 feels sharp and enthusiastic when you accelerate hard. The GLE 450 feels controlled and refined, as if the power is being carefully managed and released in a very composed manner. BMW optimized this engine for feeling. Mercedes optimized it for composure. Both approaches produce excellent real-world results, but they produce a different experience behind the wheel. Engine verdict: X5 wins at every price point, both in outright performance and in how exciting the drive actually feels. The engine story connects directly to how these cars behave on the road, and this is where BMW and Mercedes show their deepest philosophical differences. The X5 comes with adaptive suspension on most configurations, and the setup is tuned for balance, responsive without being harsh, comfortable without being soft. When you turn the steering wheel, the X5 sends genuine feedback back to your hands. You feel what the road is doing, which is rare in a luxury SUV because most manufacturers deliberately filter that information out. In sport mode, the suspension firms up, the steering quickens, and the X5 transforms into something that feels like a sports car that someone scaled up to SUV dimensions. It is impressive, and it is fun in a way that few vehicles at this size manage to achieve. On smooth roads, the X5 rides with real refinement. On rough pavement or roads with heavy potholes, the standard suspension can transmit some of that harshness into the cabin. Not unpleasantly, but you do feel it. The GLE comes standard with a highly capable steel spring selective damping suspension, but if you upgrade to the optional Airmatic air suspension, this system is extraordinary. It reads the road constantly and adjusts the suspension height and stiffness in real time. Over bumps, broken pavement, speed bumps, and rough highway surfaces, the GLE absorbs everything. The ride is genuinely plush, the kind of smooth, floating quality that people associate with the best luxury vehicles in the world. This is not an accident. Mercedes built the GLE specifically for buyers who spend hours on the road and want to arrive relaxed, not stimulated. The trade-off is that the GLE does not excite you. The steering is light and deliberately isolated from road feel. In sport mode, it firms up and responds faster, but it never communicates with you the way the X5 does. Pushing the GLE through corners quickly is fine. It handles it competently, but it does not make you feel like a driver. It makes you feel like a passenger, even when you are the one behind the wheel. This is the clearest version of the BMW versus Mercedes argument you will ever encounter. BMW builds cars for the person driving. Mercedes builds cars for the person riding. The X5 and GLE are proof of that statement. Cargo space behind the rear seats in the X5 is 33.9 cubic feet. Fold the rear seats flat and you get 72.3 cubic feet of total space. The GLE beats that with 35.4 cubic feet behind the rear seats and 74.9 cubic feet with seats folded. That difference is noticeable when you are packing for a family vacation. Both offer an optional third row, but these third rows are genuinely tight and best reserved for children or very short trips. If 3 rows with actual adult space is a real requirement, look at the BMW X7 or the Mercedes GLS instead. Towing capacity gives a slight edge to the GLE at 7,700 pounds maximum versus the X5 at 7,200 pounds when both are properly equipped. Both are more than capable for boats and trailers. Both include wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless phone charging, USB-C ports front and rear, and impressive standard sound systems. Neither car shortchanges you on technology at this price level.
The 2026 BMW X5 starts at approximately $68,600 for the base xDrive 40i. Build one properly with the premium package, the driving assistance professional package, the panoramic roof, and upgraded wheels, and you are looking at $78,000 to $82,000. The M60i V8 starts around $108,000 and pushes past $120,000 fully loaded. The 2026 Mercedes GLE 350 starts at $62,250, but as covered earlier, that base engine makes the 350 a car most buyers immediately regret not upgrading. The GLE 450 starts at $72,250, and a properly loaded GLE 450 with the premium package, driver assistance package, Burmeister sound system, and enhanced MUUX lands around $83,000 to $87,000. In reality, these two cars cost nearly the same money when built the way most buyers actually want them. The GLE has a lower starting price because the base model is genuinely underpowered, and many buyers do not discover that until after the test drive. The X5's base engine is already strong enough that you do not feel pressure to upgrade immediately. That means the X5 delivers better performance per dollar at the entry level. Here is the honest bottom line. Buy the 2026 BMW X5 if you actually enjoy driving, if you want a car that responds to you, that feels alive under your hands, and that gives you athletic looks with genuine performance to back them up. The X5 xDrive 40i in a properly built configuration is one of the best buys in the luxury midsize SUV segment right now. Buy the 2026 Mercedes GLE 450 if comfort is your top priority, if your rear passengers matter as much as the driver, if you spend long stretches on the highway and want to arrive completely relaxed, or if you want that traditional Mercedes reputation without any sporty pretense. The GLE is a masterclass in refined, comfortable long-distance travel.
Both cars are excellent. Neither one will let you down. But they are built for entirely different people. And buying the wrong one for how you actually live is a real and expensive mistake. Test drive both. Spend at least an hour in each one. Your body will tell you which one is right before your brain catches up. Subscribe so you do not miss the next comparison.